Hello. Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good time of day, good what you have now. So let's, I think, start. It's exactly the time of beginning. So my name is still Vadim Anufriev. I'm still go on with the building of a reality. Well, previous time, how did we start? I've told you about the truth. I did not tell you the truth. I told you about what is it or how it could be reached. Basically, it cannot. Maybe the truth exists, but we don't know. And we never know, as I believe. And everything what you probably know is also just your belief. This is the basic thing which we should think about and which we should keep in mind. You see, when it's quite a good idea because when everybody remember everybody remembers that it's just our beliefs, just our opinions, it means none of us can be more true. No, none of us can be closer to the truth. Or maybe he could be or she could be, but we never can prove it. So that's why in this case this is just different opinions and it's all. And today I want to start telling you about something about the reality building. This is the main thing I wanted to tell you today. And for example, you decided that you have will, you want to start doing this, you want to start building your reality somehow. You want to achieve something in this way. And you even remember this sentence about the truth. And you probably even know about different types of worldviews, which we also told we were speaking about this previous time. But maybe it helps, but definitely not enough. You right now you don't know how to start building your reality. And we will start with some elements about this right now. Firstly, you should remember that reality should be, I don't know, maybe described or reviewed from two points of view simultaneously, from two. Sometimes we forget about this. But what is it, these two ways? First is our perception. What we call reality. Usually we call, using this word, we call reality something what we see, what we feel, what we sense. It's better to say, not feel, what we sense. What we percept from outside. So reality could be, in this case, described like something from outside of you. But we should always remember that perception, this is not so good way, and this is not enough way to say about your reality. For example, you can see this element of clothes, of this very, very beautiful color, one of my lovely, I think. But this is how you see this color. When I see something very, very different. This is maybe like some effect of my camera. I did not do something specially for this. But in the camera, it looks very beautiful. And here it looks not so nice, not so beautiful. And this is just example. This is what we see every time. Every time when we want to describe something, we always perceive something, but we never know if it's true or not. Even if you hear these my words about this is not true color, you also can maybe believe it or maybe not. How you can prove it? You should come here and to see my this element. So this is also the same question of belief. But in order to say something about your reality, you should base on something else, not only your perception. And this is what we said about non-scientific and non-magical others types of world viewing. You need something else from inside. But this is the same question, how you are going to build something inside yourself. Especially if I say that perception is not enough instrument, not good enough mean to do this. In this case, you should build something from inside, but how? And this is first step today, what I want to tell you. The reality has very important part. This is very important block which you really will need to deal with. You can't just forget about this. And this block is you. To be more precise, yourself. Yourself. What is yourself? What is you? What is it? And this is one of the central questions. This is one of central questions in your reality, and also probably this is one of central questions in your life. Firstly, I will just tell you some words about this. Why I think this is so important. For sure, it's not the only possible way of building of your reality. You can start not from yourself. And we will basically not start from ourselves. But we firstly need to consider this element, this yourself. For sure, this is not about some social measures of yourself. It's definitely not about this. It's not question who are you, which you can answer I'm a teacher, I'm a programmer, I'm somebody else, or some jobs, some occupations. It's better to say what are you, but this question what are you, this is also something which maybe it's not so precise. Many things in our life we do basing of the question of yourself. The question of when you dare something to do, when you think about something big, when you think about doing something maybe which is maybe more than you. But in order to do this, you should dare. You see, you should be brave enough. And in order to be brave enough to dare to do something very huge, you should firstly answer the question, who are you? If you are just worm, if you are something small, then then probably you will never do it. Even if you want it, you will not dare. So that's why question of who are you is important. And I don't think this is the only example. But we will go to examples of importance of question of who are you a bit later. Let me consult with my notes for today. Mhm. Okay. Firstly, let's look at one example. Really, you can have many answers about who are you. But as we had some classifications like type of worldview, we will also have right now some examples of answering of who are you. And first of the question of first example is one of the most usual. You are animal. You are an animal. This is, as you can guess, something very, very usual for people. Many people think about their self as about animals. And without any details right now, let's think about what consequences we have if we answer this question like this. If we are animal, what does it mean? Basically, for example, it means that we are something natural and we are from the nature. This is one of the most important things. We are from where? This is question about the sources. If we are from nature, if we are from natural laws, which can be described in the physics and more interesting in biology, what then? Then for sure we can say that, well, we are limited. Well, limited. Probably it's enough. We are limited by our nature. If we have some instincts, if we have some reflexes, if we have some biological behaviors, we will never be able to go out of this. We will never be strong enough to. Let me consult with the dictionary. I really need this. Overcome, yes, I thought it something like our. We can't overcome something if we are element of nature. We can maybe overcome something, but not our nature. This is the main our characteristics then, if you are thinking that you are an animal. I will remind you one more time, this is your choice. This is your choice. Who are you? If you want to be animal, then you can be animal. If you don't want, you can have other variants. So firstly, it's about your limits for overcoming. Second, if you are animal, what is the area of your influence? What you can change in your life, in other life, maybe in the space, maybe in the earth, what you can change. The answering of this question is also always, how to say, can be defined by who you are. If you are animal, what you can change? I don't know, maybe the field or the place in the earth, in the ground when you live. This is all. Then, what else? Your goals. Goals. What you are going to do. What is your elements to achieve? If you are an animal, you have really something maybe simple to achieve. What you can do? You can In the biggest case, in the best case, you can just go on your life in some children. And this is all. This is the best you can do as your animal. As animal, maybe you can even protect your family, but we can't use word family. This should be something different. And we say about animals to protect and to give new birth. This is what you can do if you are animal. So goals, influences, overcomes, and probably something else. Um, I don't know, maybe this is something here. Okay, responsibilities. You are responsible for what? If you an animal, you responsible for maybe yourself, maybe about the children, maybe about the area where you live, where you live. This is maybe all. So this is the maximal we can do if we think as animal. If we don't think as animal, we have a problems because this is like evident answer. We're animals and we have specific cell in biology for humans. So it's simple. But if not, then what other answers we can have? And basically we have more than this one answer. I can tell you about two other answers. Probably you will create something else if you will want. It's also will be possible. First thing, if we think about theology. This is second time when I refer somehow to religions. But as I already told, the religions, they are very, very important because they really give us something different, something maybe not so evident and not so simple. If we refer to religions, then basic idea that we are created. We are created by some higher forces. Sometimes they call like God, and it's all. We are created. And what is really good and interesting, this is when they say that we are like children of God, and that's why we should correspond. We should live like the Father, if we can say. And in other religions, they say that God, this is something which is inside us, and which this is when this is inside us, it means we could achieve something. We have some possibilities, and if we have some possibilities, maybe we will do something. It means maybe we can overcome more than overcome just normal animal because we have some God power inside. And this is also a question about our responsibility. If we are children of God, then we should do something better than just animals. And we have something to do. And in some religions, they even serve to do something with this world, to make it better, to make it more kind, to do something. And this is another thing about goals. If we refer to this, it means we will act not like animal. We will do something different way. And this is second way how you can think about yourself. The third way thinking about yourself is the most difficult because this is more even unusual than this second one. Second, you probably could also know from somewhere. You can read about this. And about the third one you also could read, but it will be more difficult to read about because it's something going from philosophy. So one of the persons who described this was Friedrich Hegel. It's so difficult every time to say his surname. In Russian language it will be Gegel. In German I know it's Hegel. How to say in English, I think something different, something in the middle. Let's say Hegel. And in this book, very difficult for reading and for understanding book, Phenomenology of the Spirit. Really difficult to read. I did it some years ago and it was like challenge. If you want to to some very difficult challenge, more difficult than Ice Bucket, then you should read this. And also there is quite good thing, one of maybe interpretation or maybe some another version of the same. This is what I heard from Alexei Murashov. He, like I refer to him as to someone who described this conception. It's only about the conception because I'm not author. I did not created this. And how it works. This is like there are different laws. Let's call these laws like natural laws, like law of physics. This is something particular. Law and laws which describes everything. And let's just imagine for one moment that there are the world, maybe not world, and universe law, which describes all the universe and describes everything. And this is what we can call the spirit. Spirit, this is not something as God. It doesn't have any will, it doesn't want something, it's not subject. And let's just imagine that this exists, and our bodies also, this is something which is works with these laws. This is like I don't want to imagine this word. So let me firstly to consult about this. It sounds very strange. Okay, let's call it like the materia. Materia. And what about okay, um, like subtract. And but I think what is materia? This is something what we can guess. Like materiality, this is something somehow concerned with materia. So our bodies, this is also just materia, but materia which was inspired and maybe controlled by these laws. And decide in one moment, just try to imagine that you are materia which understood that you are materia with this world law in you, because we can understand it. We're not just materia as all the rest in the outworld, but we are something which can understand that we are materia controlled by with this law. And next, let's try to go to the next step and try to imagine that you are that spirit which is the law for everything, and your body and your life, this is something for spirit to be implemented in this world. Hegel says about this to I should consult about this word in English. To learn yourself? No. To perceive yourself, to recognize yourself, yes. So maybe you are something, let's firstly say something, material maybe, in which the spirit could recognize yourself. Or the next step, you are the spirit, which is recognized by itself in your body, in your mind. This is some very different thing to understand, but if you want really to understand it, you should really think about this. It's quite difficult to say it immediately. But I can say one more thing. You are the laws which could create this all. You are this power of creature, of creation, power of creation, because you really, what people do, they create the laws, they create the rules, they structurize the world. In this case, it means we are somehow connected to that spirit, which is the world laws, universe laws. And if we understand ourselves as that spirit that recognize yourself, what it means? It means that, well, our power basically potentially is limitless. In this case, it means that we created this all. In religions, it could be say you are the God, and in some books you could also read this idea. And in this moment, really doesn't matter to think that you are God or to think you are the spirit which recognized itself. In this moment, really doesn't matter. In both of this case, you should understand this, how to say, this scale. It's not comparable with you are an animal. It's uncomparable. And why this is important and why I'm telling about this right now so much time, why I repeat it not once and much more than once, because now let's try to think about some questions. For example, questions of death, question of life and question of death. Question of life, it's question about what is the purpose of your life. And question of death, this is firstly what is death and what will be next after death. This is two more to the most important questions in our world. So your reality probably could be based on understanding of who are you in these choices that I described you right now. So, for example, purpose of life. If you an animal, maximal purpose is to give a birth. If you are creature of God, it means you could do much more with this power and help maybe of God if in your reality he or she exists. If you describe and think about yourself as you are God or you are spirit and you are the world laws and world structure and power, it means you're responsible for much more things than just for your family, and you need to do much more, and you can much more, maybe potentially. But if we think about the history of human, we started from live in very, very primitive forms. And now we can do which we could not. We can fly. Maybe not like this, but basically we can fly. And we could not imagine it. But if we consider ourselves like the spirit or even in connection, it means we had this in our potential from the beginning. For sure, it's just example of technical progress. Technical progress, this is the simplest of any progress. And this is just example. Why can't we have progress not in technical? Why can't we overcome everything in us? Why can't we work with our instincts, with our reflexes? Why can't? If we are animals, then we cannot. Or in very, very limited sphere and very limited scale. But if you are not animal, and doesn't matter what, doesn't matter which another entity which we described, it means you have much more responsible power of influence to the world, power to overcome yourself, and you probably could have different goals. You can dare to have different goals. Maybe what I say this sounds fantastic, but what else we have? We have only fantastic. We have only our belief. We don't have anything else. So in case that we don't know truth, why not to try to create more interest in reality? And then let's try to live in the reality which we just created. It's question how, but today the most important thing which I wanted to tell you, it's about yourself. Yourself, this is one thing about who are you. It's about very important thing. I cannot give you whole the picture of reality building at once. I can give you only some parts of them. And one of these parts is about yourself. And when we say about yourself, then we can say about your role in this world and your possibilities, your responsibility, about your goals and about your overcoming possibilities. And this is all one thing. The second very important part of our reality is about the source of our world. Not world, maybe source of universe. It will also be important part, but not today, because this is something which is very important in one moment when you already have built some part of your reality. If you did not go there, if you did not come to that point, then no, then let's not think about this, because this will be just useless. Now, give me a second to read what else I can say today. Okay, today probably we will even finish a bit earlier. Many things which we do in our real life day by day, many of things we do because we want to be something. We do something in order to be kind, because we want to be kind. Sometimes. Sometimes we want to be famous, and that's why we do something. Sometimes we want to be somebody else. Many things we build on our willing to be something, to be a right person, to be a rich person, to act as right or rich or something else. And when you have answer for the question, who are you? You will be, you will have many resources in order to answer the question how to live. If you want to be who, and then what to do. That's why I recommend you right now, when I've already told you what I wanted, I just want you to think about these elements, about these versions, because every of each of these element is about your scale. This is about what you are daring. You want to be animal, you want to be like child of God, you want to be God or spirit. What do you want? And firstly, um, maybe you will have question like, okay, we have some number of ways. You, Mr. Vadim, told us about 3 ways and how to choose a way if we have 3 of them. This is nice question because we also right now we don't have any basis. We don't have any fundamental things to which we can base on. This is problem. But we will do something like this, but not today. Right now, the only one thing, just look at these 3 versions and answer who you want to be. What is your will? I'm sure that when you look at these 3 very, very different versions, then you probably already know who you want to be. Because maybe you have ashamed to say this. Maybe you are shy to say some words about yourself. But basically, looking at 3 variants, you definitely can say one of them, which of them is closer to you. Now, this is just the beginning and the first steps. My life in the sphere of building of reality and building of myself, started from myself. I wanted to be somebody. Um, at least somebody. For me, in my 17 and maybe 19, it was like I want to find a form for me because I was formless, and that's why I needed some form. And that's why I just could meet something, meet some people with their ideas, and read some books. And for me, it was a question of, do I like what I hear now, or I don't like what I hear or read now? And many things I did were based on who I want to be. I think for this moment it's enough about this. Let me see if I can add something or we'll finish. Okay, so the best way, if today we think about who we want to be, at least we can start thinking about this. Next time we will think about possible ways of living and possible directions. And then it will be quite interesting to match because some of things we consider today cannot be matched with some purposes of life. And I think that in this moment, I guess that in this moment I'm going to finish. So everybody who will see it, thank you for your time. Thank you for your decision to come and hear and see. Probably you had many choices where you else could go and what else you could hear. And if you choose from all existing variants this one to hear this instead of hearing something else, then thank you. And for this moment, I will say goodbye for today.